Welcome to 2023's first recorded episode of A Bro's Guide to Glitter from the new Bro's Guide to Glitter recording HQ in LA. Now that we're all settled, I am back with a very special guest to talk about makeup. We'll be discussing the history of makeup, how society's gendered perceptions towards it have changed over time, and our guest's personal relationship to makeup. I met today's guest last semester when we both studied abroad at NYU LA. He studies music business at NYU Steinhardt, and he is a musician and entrepreneur, specifically a beatboxing entrepreneur. He founded Long Island Beatbox, which hosts beatboxing competitions on both coasts. Please welcome Jack Gross, aka JACKNASTY.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. How was your day?
It was really good, really good. I'm happy to be here on the podcast today.
Happy to have you here. So, for the listeners who, may not know as much about you, want to share more about your music and your artistic inspirations?
Sure. So as mentioned by the wonderful Sarah Gloss, I am a musician. I've been practicing music since I was a wee young lad. I was 8 years old when I first picked up a guitar, and I took a lot of lessons. But I always found that I loved it. But as she also mentioned, I'm a beatboxer, which is something I picked up when I was maybe 12 years old. Now I'm 22, so that's like a 10-year journey for me, which is really crazy. And it's been really awesome. I started beatboxing by myself, but then discovered a cappella music and singing through the choir in my high school. Now moving on to college a cappella. And now I'm a competitive beatboxer outside of a cappella and its own like solo category. And I also host competitions for beatboxing. Yeah, just really love that. I've traveled all across the world for beatboxing, for competitions, to meet people, to make content, and to do all sorts of stuff in the area. And I'm also now pursuing kind of like hosting and MC work, which is really awesome. I love being on stage and talking and hyping up people in the crowd and just giving other people platforms to create the art that they like to create, which is why I make the events that I do, which is why I host, because I really just love making a platform for people. As much as I'm an artist, I think part of the art is creating a space for other people to do what they do best.
Yeah, there is a lot of collaboration and like branding that's involved with like young musicians. So that's a very good point about creating platforms for other people.
Yeah, I grew up playing music, not just beatboxing, but playing all sorts of like rock band instruments, guitar, bass, drums, piano. And my favorite thing to do after school was to, make music with my friends. We would jam. We would never write music. We would never write lyrics. We're just instrumentalists who would just jam all the time. We would make tunes. We would even gig sometimes. I remember my first like professional musician gig was a buddy of mine. We both played guitar and we would play at the local restaurant, a burger joint that I worked at every other week for a few hours. And yeah, that was like my first professional musicking, my first professional music gig. And yeah, like I've come very, very far from there, and I'm very proud.
I didn't even know that. I really like that. The
Yeah,
origin
we were
story.
like yeah, the origin story. I think I was like 16, he was 17, and yeah, we used to do that. Because I remember I was working at the restaurant and they had a guy who played guitar and he sang, but then one day he stopped coming and I asked why, and they said he charges too much. And I was like, well, I can undercut him. Just let me and my buddy play. We just want to play. And so I
Uh-huh.
think we got paid like $150 each to like come every other week and play for like 3 hours on like a Wednesday night.
Interesting. I mean, I get how like compared to other professional musicians, because I know there are like professional musicians out there who like charge 200 bucks an hour to like
Right.
play and like play gigs and stuff. So 50 an hour is definitely undercutting. But like, yeah, to 16-year-olds,
That's a
that's
lot
good
of money for
money.
us. That's a lot of money for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now I've pursue professional music in like a different area. I'm actually starting, hopefully, to become like a well-known and respected a cappella beatboxer and arranger and singer. So hopefully, I can, after college is over, I'm actually about to this later this week have my final college a cappella concert. with NYU Mass Transit. That's the acapella group. And yeah, it's actually a little bittersweet because I've been in the group since 2018. Now we're almost in summer 2023, and I will say goodbye for like the last concert. And hopefully I can continue doing a cappella, whether that be like through traditional means or whether that is, yeah, through traditional means or basically making a band of beatboxers, which would be super dope. There's like actually a few bands that I'm inspired by that are 4 to 5 beatboxers, prolific singers, amazing beatboxers at the same time, and they can make tracks that are kind of unheard of for like traditional a cappella sense. And I
Hmm.
think that there was like this cool Pitch Perfect moment that happened after Pitch Perfect came out, where a cappella
Yeah.
exploded in popularity and everyone got really good at doing a cappella music. But I think that beatboxing might be like the next thing for a cappella music. You know, I think we might see groups of beatboxers becoming the next wave of a cappella superstars.
Yeah. Well, in thinking of like, I assume, or maybe this is the case, maybe this isn't the case, that one of your inspirations, when you say 4 to 5 beatboxers, is pentatonics. And I feel like what they have that one guy, right, who like is always like at the bottom doing the bass and the beat. And there, I feel like he's not that like, oh, him specifically, because they're a whole group, but like his influence and having that piece of the arrangement is, I think, what sets Pentatonic's music style apart from like Glee, for example, um, where they actually like have, you know, a rock driving R&B feel. So yeah, that's definitely a powerful insight to think that that might lie in the ability to beatbox in that.
Yeah, Pentatonics is a great example. They're like a really tight, small group, and the beatboxer's name is Kevin Olusola. I hope I pronounced that right.
Mm.
He's really good at beatboxing, and they definitely, or it seems that they make the arrangements with the beatboxer in mind, so they can like make this awesome set. But imagine if all 5 of them were beatboxing at the same time,
Mm.
right? And you can imagine the different types of music that you could make because the way they have it work, I guess they have 4 singers, a bass, a tenor, another tenor, and a soprano, alto, soprano. I don't know what their makeup is, but you know, imagine covering all the voice parts, but also being able to do like sound effects, different drum patterns, really complex stuff. And both are very viable. You can I actually really like the sound of smaller a cappella groups as opposed to larger a cappella groups because of this. Like you can get really, really tight harmonies and make the arrangements specifically to your singers.
Mm. Interesting.
Yeah, it's something you can't necessarily do in college a cappella because in college a cappella you're not having not everyone that comes into your group is like the super most well-trained singer, nor are they like the most well-trained beatboxer. Most of the time they just love a cappella and they have a great enough voice and a great enough personality to like be in the group. And also our group has like 15, 16 members, which is way more than 5.
Yeah. Interesting. It's funny because earlier in your explanation, you said, I don't know the makeup of the group. And I thought that was the perfect Freudian slip and transition into our episode.
I guess you're right. That was pretty perfect. Pretty pitch perfect.
Oh, there you go.
There it happened again. That
So
one was not forced.
it wasn't cool. It worked out. It was
Yeah,
good.
yeah, totally.
So let's start with playing a word association game.
Okay.
I'm going to put 15 seconds on the clock. And in those 15 seconds, you're going to say every word that comes to your head when you think of makeup. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, go.
A banana. I don't know why I thought of that. L'Oreal, skincare, eyeliner, eyeshadow, palettes, so many colors. Um, what is it? Kylie Jenner. And then that makes me think of the Kardashians. I don't know if they have a makeup line. Um, they probably do. I feel like all the celebrities do. Photography, Instagram. Let's think of one more good one. Makeup.
That was perfect. That was a perfect overarching. I'm sure the Kardashians, if Kim doesn't have, I mean, maybe she doesn't if she has Skims, but all of them do, they have their own businesses. But yeah, that's a good point.
There is a Skin by Kim. Just looked it up.
Oh,
SKKN.
SKKN
And
by Kim.
Skin by Kim.
Interesting. So she has Skin and she has Skims.
There's
And,
also KKW Beauty. There's so
and
many.
oh my gosh.
Actually, I think it's a trend that I've seen, or at least I think it's a trend where a lot of influencers, especially those that are like models or like on Instagram, end up having lines of makeup or skincare kind of thing.
Yeah. That is like and it's interesting because we'll, talk about it obviously like in this episode, but so much of makeup is like names, Maybelline, CoverGirl, Anastasia, etc. And I mean, it's like I think that like with what I shop for makeup, I honestly like I do Anastasia eyeshadow for everything. And yeah, I spent some time like picking out like what's the best kind, like what eyeshadow works for me, what doesn't, but it's like I am driven by the Anastasia name. I'm not someone who knows a lot about applying makeup. I wouldn't say I'm like even halfway to a makeup artist, but then it's like the fact that I buy Anastasia for the fact that someone says, "Hey, get Anastasia." It suddenly makes sense why you have all of these celebrities who have their Hailey Bieber line, the Selena Gomez line, etc. Um, so yeah, it's crazy.
Who's the celebrity behind Anastasia
I
Cosmetics?
found I'm pretty sure it's just like
Or
it's
that's the brand?
nobody. Like that's the
Nobody.
brand, yeah. Like it's
Okay,
like Karl Lagerfeld, where like the brand became famous because of the product.
understood. So you'd say that you're not always swayed by influencer marketing when it comes to beauty products. You're more like loyal to the brand that makes you look and feel good.
I mean, I think that like if I am, I think if I try it and I like it, then I would.
Mm.
I think the problem is more that I don't sample so many. So even right now, literally right now, I am wearing Hassan Piker's Himbo Fitness hoodie, which is, for those of you not listening, Hassan Piker is a prolific Twitch streamer. So I am wearing a celebrity brand on my sweatshirt. Special thanks to John Patrick Scanlon for buying me this sweatshirt. But even before the sweatshirt was gifted to me, I had a celebrity allegiance towards Hassan Piker. So I guess I mean even with like I don't I'm not a big I guess Hailey Bieber versus Selena Gomez fan. I don't know. If Adam Driver came out with a lip balm brand, I'd buy it. You know.
Sure.
So let's talk about the history of makeup. So there's traces of makeup for like since the ancient times. In ancient Egypt, people would wear eyeliner and blush and eyeshadow and lip color. And all of this was seen as a sign of wealth, especially green shadow would evoke the gods Horus and Ra, and they would do their eyeliner in the cat eye shape. So we didn't invent that in the modern day. That was all the way back then. And that was something that people wanted to wear regardless of their gender. And then in ancient Rome, things get a little bit interesting. On one hand, ancient Rome was a civilization that was really based in utilitarianism and simplicity. And if you spent too much time on your looks, you seemed vain rather than, for intelligence and truth and the republic. This was a culture that had sumptuary laws. So you were prevented from spending too much money or, eating too many oysters or having too many pearls or whatever. But even with that, you know, men still would camouflage their bald spots. And before battle, they would actually paint their nails. And it was during this time that makeup did start to have an association with sex workers. Because again, you know, the simple senator men with short hair versus the frivolous prostitutes. But like regular women still liked makeup and enjoyed it anyway. And that's when this kind of cultural divide between men and women enjoying makeup kind of started. But again, still there were men painting their nails before battle. But that separation changed in the 1600s and 1700s in Europe when both men and women would wear a lot of lead powder on their face because they wanted to look very white and pale. And they would paint beauty marks on their face. And this was a symbol of being very wealthy again. You spend your time indoors, you have the money to spend on your looks. But then after the French Revolution, because all of those guys who were wearing the powdered wigs and powdering their faces, they were overthrown, and that look was considered too elite. You were too bourgeois to wear makeup. But at the same time, you know, we still want the ladies to look pretty. So male extravagance was criticized in a way that it wasn't for women because those standards of women's beauty were still pressing. So that's kind of what the history I found was leading up to before the 20th century.
Super fascinating. I was definitely shocked. You may have seen it on my face when you said that they wore lead on their face, because as someone in the
Mm-hmm.
21st century, we know not to put lead on our faces.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing that shocked me about that was that you said it made them look paler, which I associate lead with like a dark color. So that was pretty fascinating to me. And
Yeah.
then lastly, it's interesting how all that history wrapped up in the end with men not wearing makeup at the end of the day, and that was what was frowned upon, and it was still celebrated for women to wear makeup at the end of that all that story.
Yeah. It is. I did think it was interesting how, like, and because the way that when they discouraged men from wearing makeup, both in like Rome and after the French Revolution, it didn't have anything to do with like, well, it's for women now, or there's like something wrong with makeup from a look perspective, but the idea it's rooted in the cultural sense of simplicity versus extravagance, and it's basically saying that looks aren't important and that other things are more important. But then even when the cultural norm is to say, or the cultural ideas are to say, hey, let's not wear makeup, the objectification still remains for women. And they kind of, I don't want to say that like women, I can't speak on behalf of, you know, 17th century women when I said, oh, they had to wear makeup to look beautiful. But, you know, there's that norm, that aspect with women's beauty that is still very present today.
Super interesting.
So, thinking of those different eras, you know, if you were in the Elizabethan period, do you think you would be partaking in the lead on your face, or do you think, you know, hold off on the lead, but give me the beauty mark, give me the powdered wig? You know,
Mhm.
how do you see yourself fitting in this history?
Um, I think I'd end up being a product of my society, right? So I would probably end up wearing the makeup, end up wearing the wig, and give me the birthmark too until the end of the French Revolution, and then take it off of me. I don't want it anymore.
You're like, okay, they stormed the Bastille. Someone get me a makeup wipe. Take this off right now.
Yeah, I don't need it anymore. But you can still wear it.
So then, leading into the 20th century, by the 1930s, there was the golden age of Hollywood that really preferred men to have a polished look. Um, which I mean, I didn't see this written anywhere in my research, but I feel like it's a reflection, it's a post-war reflection. Everyone I've never ever known who's been in the military really thinks men should have short hair and they need to keep their hair cropped. And so, most of those people, 1930s, that's post World War One, leading into World War Three, there's a lot of people who were soldiers. So I wonder if that was an influence. Um, and then going into the 1970s and 80s, this is when you get people like David Bowie and Prince, where the rock stars would wear makeup a lot, and it was part of their look, part of their brand. So these rock stars and these 1930s Hollywood actors, they would look better on stage under the lights with eyeliner. And even today, I forgot to mention this earlier, but in parts of the Middle East, it's actually very common for men to wear eyeliner just because it makes the eyes pop more. It looks better. And that's something, even in the Quran, Muhammad encouraged encouraged guys to wear eyeliner and said it would look better. I mean, don't quote me too much there, but I found something saying that. So yeah, 80s, 70s, 80s rock star. That's fun. But then, it starts to be questioned a little more. Because in 1994, this journalist named Mark Simpson wrote this article for The Independent in which he first coined the term metrosexual. And metrosexual nowadays, when I was first introduced to that word, it was from someone I know who identifies as metrosexual, who basically says that, he identifies as straight, but he's part of the gay community. And that's exemplified in the way he dresses and carries himself. And so people have come to understand that as like, well-groomed or dressing effeminately, but then being straight, which is odd because like being part of the LGBTQ community does not automatically make you well-groomed or mean you dress like non-masculine, but it goes against what the actual original saying of metrosexual was, which is to be this is the definition, a single young man with a high disposable income, living or working in the city, because that's where all the best shops are, and is the most promising consumer market of the decade. So basically, just someone who lives in a city, dresses really well, and has high disposable income. And, to that, I would say I would love to be metrosexual. But what happened as even though there are like great moments in the late 20th century of makeup for men, a weird like homophobia sets in and misconstrues that. So, Jack, thoughts?
It's really interesting to bring this up because I, prior to preparing for this meeting, had never heard the term metrosexual. And I looked it up and I found a similar definition. And your explanation of it was slightly different, and saying that they were part of the gay community without being gay. Very fascinating. And I think it goes a little bit deeper than dressing well and being well groomed. And I'll bring up an anecdote. It's kind of like, so often when I'm with people, I'm sometimes the question arises if I'm gay or not.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm straight. However, does this make me a metrosexual now that I know the word? Because I'm a straight man and I like to think I'm well groomed and I dress well and I live in the city.
Yeah.
So does that make me metrosexual? But I was thinking about it because some people tell me I give them gay vibes. And I have a feeling that this has nothing to do with my sexuality, that it has all to do with like this unspoken quality of someone's character, right? That they just say the word gay to describe. And
Yeah.
now there is obviously gay, which is referring to your sexuality, but then there's this unspoken femininity based concept that men can have that makes them appear gay or like fall into these groups that are like safe for women or safe for LGBT spaces. Now, I'm
Hmm.
definitely I've always identified as an ally to the LGBT community, but now this term metrosexual like helps me understand a little bit more how other people feel about it, because maybe that's what people are trying to tell me when they say they feel safe around me, or that I give them a gay vibe, and that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing because
Mm.
women feel like they can open up around me, or they don't feel like pressures. Like if we're out at a bar or something, they don't feel like pressure, like I'm hitting on them or something. Like I'm not giving them any like weird like man vibes. You know, I mean, I'm not sure if that I articulated that the wellest. Wow, but I'm not sure if I'm not sure if I articulated that the best. But I think I got my point across that there's something, some like a quote unquote like gay quality that some men can have, which doesn't refer at all to their sexuality.
Yeah, I think that was really well said. It is weird how this whole podcast is to talk about gender expectations. And it's weird how failing to live up to gender expectations, even if it's not about like, oh, you didn't meet this positive criteria, but oh, you lack this negative criteria. Like, oh, Jack, you dress too well than the average straight man should. You don't raucously hit on every girl you see and make them feel uncomfortable or question their safety in a bar. Therefore, you don't meet up to these stereotypical gender perceptions, and then it like leads to sexuality. And in a world with both like misogyny and homophobia, therefore questioning one's the ability to match up to one's gender or even questioning the other person's like sexuality is how then weird like homophobic shame and misperceptions come out of it. And I remember you alluding to those kinds of happenings before, but that's interesting to dive through right now.
Yeah, because I was just talking to a friend who said, I like hanging out with you because you give me a gay vibe. And I
Oh,
just knew it had nothing to do with my sexuality. And I'm not offended by that. I'm happy I give a gay vibe because I kind of understand that what it means is something unrelated to like what the traditional definition of the word gay is.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm not offended if someone thinks I'm gay. Like it doesn't bother me. I feel confident enough in my sexuality and in my masculinity that it doesn't matter if someone thinks I'm gay.
Yeah, that's very good. And that's something that, not a lot of straight guys feel. So that's good. And hence probably why and I mean, this has been my whole thesis of my podcast is that I think that that's why they reject girly things.
It's a really interesting point of conversation. And the term metrosexual is new to me. I don't know how many people really commonly use this term when
Mhm.
referring to it. And I actually have been like toying with this question, like what does it mean when people say you give them a gay vibe?
Yeah.
And I think it might be that you're metrosexual now that we've
Mhm.
discussed it for a little bit.
Yeah. Very nice. It is definitely like, because, I've heard it. I think I've only ever met one person who defines themselves as metrosexual. And he's like a man in his late 40s, early 50s, and which is, means he was probably our age-ish when this article came out in 1994. And
Mm.
so it's definitely something I don't use or I don't hear anyone in our generation use. But given the fact that, I feel like our generation is better about having conversations with gender and sexual identity, it's a good term to break apart. It's time.
Yeah. Do you think that metrosexualism, if I may call it that, has anything to do with sexuality?
I think
Like,
that's yeah, I think that's the whole point though, is that like it's not. Like sexual is in there, but like it doesn't say like it doesn't define straight or gay.
So it's kind of like a misnomer.
Yeah, true, true, true. Like even though, because the one metrosexual person I know, he identifies therefore as part of the LGBTQ community. Um, I mean, he did like when I was a sophomore in high school. But maybe if there were metrosexual people now in our generation, they would say, no, it's a misnomer.
I just looked it up. Is metrosexual part of LGBT? It says the term initially did not assert whether metrosexual is heterosexual, gay, or bisexual, but in marketing practice, the metrosexual term is considered straight.
Good to know.
Interesting.
Very good to know.
Yeah, so it has some qualities of something, but not something else, I guess.
So we talked a lot about the overarching journey of cultural thoughts on makeup. Prior to this podcast, what did you think how did you think society's perceptions on makeup and gender had changed over time versus what are you thinking about it now?
I think as you brought up a great example before with celebrities, in like recent history in the past like 50 years who wore makeup, typically
Yeah.
actors in movies, when we're talking about men, actors in movies, music stars, public figures, politicians, maybe. Um, I think that had all been very accepted, but then like I I want to say that there was like some sort of stigma towards just the average man, the average straight man wearing makeup.
Mm,
And perhaps there was a stigmatization between a stigma around being gay, which I think is alleviating as time goes on. As you mentioned, that there's like our generation is very keen on like talking very openly about sexuality and kind of being a bit more fluid with how we perceive ourselves and how we perceive others. So, I mean, I'm seeing a lot more men wearing makeup now in the 2020s than I ever did before. Maybe I'm more perceptive to it.
yeah, that's a good point about like accessibility to makeup through fame. Because I mean, like, even Harry Styles, people are like, oh my God, Harry Styles, woo, I love him wearing makeup. I love him on the cover of Vogue with a dress. And of course, there are like tons of girls out there who like do want that from a regular man. And do like it when they see a guy like that. But then still overall, if the average man walked down the street like doing exactly what Harry Styles did, they wouldn't get the same, yeah, woo, congrats, good for you, that like Harry Styles would. And of course, like, and it's because Harry Styles famous. And of course, he's still, his fashion is still like, worth the applause. But
Mhm.
you know, it's kind of like the same way like half of the YouTubers out there, they get famous for what they do, but if they didn't have a YouTube channel and they didn't have their money and they walked into a random public library and did that, people would be like, "Okay, please leave." So,
Yeah, I mean, he's an interesting icon, Harry Styles. You know, he's an icon for men to like express themselves through fashion, and makeup, which is really important. I'm not sure what his sexuality is, but I don't think it's really part of the discussion. More so, like he is a man who does these things, and everyone applauds him for it. And there was that accessibility through fame, where the more famous you are, the less weird looks you may get for doing contrary to the norm.
yeah.
But I think he serves as a nice role model for men to kind of like break that barrier and start doing that kind of thing. I personally would love to see a man wearing the dress anywhere I go, but I might not wear it myself. And that's just because I'm comfortable wearing the clothes that I wear, and I wear like men's fashion typically. But I can definitely say that I thought it was interesting growing up, and I still think it's very interesting today how women are more free to like choose the type of clothing that they wear. Not only is there more options in female fashion,
Yeah.
but they're also not stigmatized for wearing men's clothing. A woman can wear men's clothing and it passes. Meanwhile, if a man tries women's clothing, there's kind of maybe a weird look they get, or
Yeah.
there's definitely a question that's arisen. And often the question is, are you gay?
Yeah. And that was hence why everyone is always questioning Harry Styles' sexuality, A. But also B, yeah, when you said like, oh, when I'm not wearing dresses often, I'm comfortable in men's clothing. In my brain, I was like, yeah, so are like most women. Um, but there isn't always the reverse for that. So many women, I probably have like a good number of clothes in my closet that are like considered men's clothes. But it's like, honestly, it's not hard to find something that's considered men's clothes, pants, shirt, like, and to the point you were saying, I was talking to a friend about the fact that like, there's so many clothes for women. It's like a dress you wear to a Sunday brunch with your family is not the same dress you wear to, your cousin's baptism, is not the same dress you wear for a night on the town, is not the same dress you wear to a fancy dinner with your colleagues, is not the same dress you wear to a wedding, and so on and so forth. Whereas men, it's just kind of like you can probably get two shirts that can be used for all of those things. And it's kind of like limiting from an expression point of view.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I guess it depends on how metrosexual you want to be.
Yeah.
um, I always thought that was a really interesting point. And also, it's infinitely harder on that point for women to shop for clothing. I
hmm
think there's a wide variety of styles, and there's also a wide variety of body shapes, figures, and types
Yeah.
that women have that men don't really have. Um, I would say, based on my observation living on this earth, that there's a few less body types for men, and at least like there's kind of more clothes that fit more people for men, because you often will find clothes that for women that are great in the length, like for pants, but don't fit around the waist, or they're too
Yeah.
high, or a shirt that doesn't wrap around your chest nicely, but it's like the perfect length, because all sorts of people are different proportions. Meanwhile, men can be just kind of like, we don't have the same boobs and butt that you guys have.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think I've even like changed body type like two or three different times in the last, 2 years. I mean, I guess not overall type, but even the idea, like to your point of, oh, because I'm a little bit more like emphasized here or de-emphasized there, now this top no longer looks good. Oh, but this top now looks good. So, yeah, it's difficile.
Yeah, and also like as you go through different phases of life, um, your body will change for women. Meaning like, obviously like there's early adulthood, but then there's like after you give birth, for example. Some people experience like a widely different body type after that.
Yeah.
Some can go back to their original body type. Some people are just kind of their bodies are a little bit different after or during the pregnancy, of course.
Yeah, for real. So, in terms of, you know, when talking about clothes, you bring up the idea of enhancement, the idea that, I mean, obviously, so much of beauty, makeup, fashion, we think about it as self expression. Elton John's outfits are a manner of self expression, etc. But so much of clothing is about natural enhancement. And when we think about that in makeup, I think I'm typically, because I'm someone who, I used to be good at applying makeup back when I was doing dance competition. But when I slowly petered out my makeup use, I definitely got way more into just knowing how to do makeup that enhances, lengthen the eyelashes with mascara, um, change your make your face look less pimply with foundation, add some blush to make your cheek color pop. That's what a lot of uh, makeup does, and why a lot of women choose to wear makeup to enhance their features. But then again, there's self-expression. So it's a balance. When is makeup being used for enhancement? When is it being used for self-expression? So, Jack, your moments wearing makeup, would you say you are driven by enhancement or self-expression?
I would say I'm driven by enhancement. I usually
Mm-hmm.
go for really simple looks, just like mascara and highlighter mostly,
Mm-hmm.
to make my cheekbones pop, to make my eyes pop, and that kind of thing. I haven't ever really worn out anything with color on it and nothing too extreme. Although I'm not opposed to it, I have put it on a few times, like with my girlfriends, and they would look at me and go, "Jack, you're so pretty. You should go out like that." Everyone would like to talk to you if you wore this out. Um, but I haven't actually like done that.
Yeah.
I would say like I'm more experimental with color when it comes to my nails, just because it's not on
Mm-hmm.
my face, it's not as obvious. But also I can see it. I can see it and I like looking at it.
Yeah, for real. That is a thing about like putting on like bigger makeup, is that you don't see it. And then, I mean, at least I itch my eye. And then I'm like, oh no, it's ruined.
Right, right, which is the worst part of wearing mascara for me. I'm sure it's worse when you have so much other stuff on. Or
Hmm.
if you tear up, you're just like, is it over?
Exactly. Is it over?
Do I have to go to the bathroom for 20 minutes to fix it?
Oh, yeah. That's interesting. And because that definitely makes sense with how often you are on stage. Um, and I looked up famous men who wear makeup. And of course there are some celebrities who are known for wearing a lot of makeup, who are like makeup influencers. There's Jeffree Star, there's Harry Styles, there's the Adam Lambert, and even people like Jared Leto and Green Day, who aren't like Jeffree Star level makeup, still like um Billy Joe Armstrong. Yeah, Billy Joe
Yeah.
Armstrong is like known for his like heavy eyeliner look.
Yeah,
Um,
he is.
but even beyond then, like Channing Tatum, it like always wears foundation and like contours his face, and same with Zac Efron, always wears mascara, and Justin Bieber, and I think Brad Pitt has like a foundation brand or a skincare brand. That's really, and they're not people who are like necessarily known for makeup. They have very natural looks, but they're always they're always seen, they're always out there, always on camera, and even when they're not on camera, they're wearing makeup to enhance their features.
Yeah, and it makes those people look really good and it makes them probably feel very confident when they're on camera and when they're not on camera.
Yeah,
For the enhancement, I mean, like, those are all very attractive people that you mentioned.
exactly. Exactly. So, not that you can't be pretty without makeup, but it goes to show that, Brad Pitt's doing it well.
Yeah, and you wouldn't even know that he's wearing foundation because he does it in such a subtle way.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Speaking of that, because that's okay, one of my next questions has to do with people's ability to see makeup. And I feel like, so I'm someone who typically, for the listeners who don't know, every day I moisturize, I put on foundation, I put on eyelash primer, and then I put on mascara. And then I take a little comb and I comb my eyebrows. And that's my makeup look. That's about all I can really do. Running to work in the morning. And I feel like most girls I talk to know and understand that I'm wearing makeup. And even like if I'm not wearing like big makeup, or if it's not obvious, they kind of like assume it. I think at least a lot of the women, maybe this is just because I'm at work and, it's the office is a very formal setting. I think a lot of women assume that the other women at work are putting on makeup. But I've talked to numerous guys who just assume I'm not wearing any makeup because they can't see it, because I don't have like a big look like, Trisha Paytas, or like I'm under lights. They just assume I'm not wearing any makeup. And when I say, oh, like my mascara's rubbed off, oh my, I've sweat off my foundation, they'll straight up be like, you're not wearing any makeup. And I'm like, dude. So like, have you experienced any of your friends not noticing you wearing makeup? Do you think that like just not everyone is maybe so I mean, I'm someone who like not only works in an office now where like everyone has to be like formal, but I did theater where people were exposed to makeup. Do you think that maybe like other people weren't, or?
Well, actually, during my last show with my a cappella group, I curled my lashes and put mascara on.
Mm.
And when we were warming up, one of the guys is just staring at me. And he goes, Jack, your eyelashes are beautiful. Has anyone ever told you that?
Oh.
And I said, thank you. And I fluttered my eyes and I did a spin for the whole group. They're like, we want to see, we want to see. And, I don't know if he knew I was wearing makeup, but he definitely noticed something was different. So maybe the flip of it is like if you came into work one day not wearing makeup, would they think you look different?
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. I don't know. I think there are days when I was thinking about this the other day. I think there are days when like I wake up and I'm like, "Oh, I look so gray. I look the same as when I wear makeup. I should just walk out like this." But then there are some days where it's like I look like my eyes look small and swollen shut without mascara on them.
Yeah, I noticed that even just curling my eyelashes has a profound impact on the perceptible size of my eyelashes, like, or my eyes in general. My face looks like a little different when they're curled up. And I
Yeah.
have pretty naturally long eyelashes. And I even as a kid, like I would get like jealous comments from girls that are like, "Why are your eyelashes so good?" I think that's a common thing that men experience actually, is girls
Yeah.
coming up to them being like, "Why are your eyelashes better than mine?" But they're not better. We all have beautiful eyelashes. But definitely when I curl them and when I put mascara on, it looks different and it feels different and people notice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I have definitely like seen multiple instances in which like a woman like goes to a man and is like, "Why are your eyelashes so much longer than mine? I'm jealous."
Is that a thing that men
I
just have longer eyelashes?
I mean, I don't think it's a men thing. I think it's like a normal genetics thing. Like anyone who has longer eyelashes has longer eyelashes. But
Right.
then just like women are like shocked to see a man like where it like looks so natural on them. And then B, my other theory is that women who wear, and maybe I hope I don't become a victim to this, that if a woman wears mascara too much, then that like, frittles up and stunts eyelash growth.
I
Um,
never heard of that, but now I'm scared.
I know. Well, I mean, because I knew a girl, I was in elementary, middle school. I knew a girl who was in eighth grade and she put her mascara on so thick. Like imagine false eyelashes. Her eyelashes were that thick, but like just from mascara. And she was 14 years old and she did it like all day, every day, and she would be constantly reapplying it.
Oh my
And
goodness.
they started to fall off. They started to like get brittle and break. Um, and I can confidently say I've never put on my mascara that thick.
No,
Um,
me neither. It's like one coat, two coats, I'm out.
yeah, and she also she wouldn't take it off at night. Um,
Well, that's probably the crux of the problem.
yeah.
You need to take it off every once in a while.
Yeah. So
Same with all other forms of makeup too. Like if you're not wiping off your makeup at the end of the day, aren't you like more prone to like getting pimples or like just not having the most healthy skin? Because that stuff isn't as far as I'm knowledgeable of, it's not like, it's not like the natural oils of your skin. It's cosmetic product,
yeah.
chemicals and whatnot.
Yeah, and I actually, it's pretty bad. I mean, I used to like, I'd obviously take off my eye makeup every day, but like all throughout high school and for most of college, I wouldn't wipe off my foundation or anything. And because I'm not like, I don't like cake it on. I just like, I spot correct, Oh, there's a little
Hmm.
dark spot. Oh, there's a little pimple. And I just like put it on the pimple and then really pat it in. But then I still wouldn't take it off. And since last semester, I started actually buying cleanser and like cleansing my face at the end of the night. I mean, I want to like figure out like what my new skincare routine is because I think now that I'm 22, I need to like from switch away from proactive to something new. But like the quality of my skin, um, and like the texture has definitely been like hugely improved since I started doing that.
I can say for certain that if I forget to take off mascara at the end of the night, it's like unpleasant to take off the next day. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure if that goes for foundation or anything else, but it's like I was just sleeping with my eyes shut with all the mascara touching, and then I open my eyes and it's like
Yeah, for real.
I don't know, maybe I'm having like a weird thing where my lashes are sticking together.
Well, when I was in middle school and I first started doing dance competition, so I was like 11, 12 when I started doing dance competition. I was at Catholic school at the time, and we weren't allowed to wear any makeup. Um, and I just like, but like, I always had eyeliner that would linger. When kind of like, I feel like when I don't wear makeup for a day, then it's like my eyelashes are still a little bit like emphasized, and especially with
Yeah.
eyeliner, which is so strong sometimes, and I wear like a thick black, like pencil eyeliner, then it's like there's still a little bit the next day. It like kind of happens. Um, and so I tried my best to wipe it off, but then like still the next day, my teacher like looks at me with the concerned face and is like, Sarah, are you wearing makeup? And I had to be like, I washed it off yesterday. And it's still like there's still a little bit there. Like even the
Hmm.
tiny emphasis, she caught. So pretty crazy.
And maybe that's because she knew what it looked like.
Very true.
Had you had the male teacher, maybe they wouldn't have known.
Very true.
Yeah, I know that yeah, same for me when I wear makeup. Like if it can sometimes be the next day and my eyelashes are still like very dark
Mm-hmm.
or they're still kind of like curled from the night before.
Mm-hmm. So when was the first time you wore makeup?
In like a serious way.
Either or.
Okay, well the first time I wore makeup like ever was probably for, and don't try and find this, a YouTube video, maybe when I was like somewhere in my tweens. Me and a friend and my sister all did each other's makeup for like a YouTube video. And that was all
That's
funny
so
haha.
cute.
That was like way before I understood anything about anything. That was just funny haha. And then I think the next time I did it maybe was in college and it was also funny haha. Um, and it was a smoky eye eyeshadow look. I was just with my girlfriends and they were like, "Jack, can we please just give you a full face?" And I was like, "We're not going out tonight, are we?" And they said no, so we did it, of course. And I was like, I liked it, and they liked it too. And then the funny part of this story is that my friends, my guy friends, were coming over later in the evening, and I forgot I had the makeup on because it was on for like an hour or two. Totally forgot I had it.
Yeah.
They come into the apartment and I'm like, "Oh, hey guys, what's up?" And they look at me like dead stopped. It was clear from to me at that moment that they were not metrosexual.
Mm.
In a joking way, in a joking way, joking way. No, they just didn't expect me to be wearing that. So I remember like it kind of had like this shocked look, like, Jack, why do you look like that? And I was like, what, you guys don't like it?
Uh-huh.
I think they liked it too much. Uh,
Oh, that's what I was picking up from underneath. They're like,
yeah,
"Oh, who's this beautiful short-haired like girlfriend you guys brought over?" And you're like, "Hey guys,
yeah.
it's me, Jack." And they're like,
Hey
"Oh."
guys, it's me. Yeah, that was very funny. And then when did I start wearing when did I start wearing? I remember one day, it might have been fall 2021, and I was yeah, I definitely remember doing this. I texted my sister out of the blue, and I was just like, what should I buy? I'm going to CVS right now. What makeup should I buy? Because I was just like sick of it. Because I was having the same thoughts I used to have about like women's fashion and men's fashion. Like, why can women wear this, and men can really only wear this? And I was kind of just like, F it. Like at this point, like I feel like a man can just like be straight and not be questioned and wear like a simple manly makeup look. So I asked her like what would be good for me. She recommended mascara and highlighter, which are like my go-tos now.
Yeah.
And that was like a year and a half ago. And so that was when I started wearing makeup like more regularly, like
Hmm.
more seriously.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I got L'Oreal Lush no Lash Paradise. I think it's like a silver tube, and it's been a good one. I got it again
Yeah.
lately.
Good brand. It
Yep.
served me very well in my dance competition days.
It's so hard to take off though. And I recently found out that mascara goes like, or makeup in general goes bad after a while.
Yeah.
Cause that's when I had to buy the next one because I didn't use it enough to like run out. But I found out like the quality of my mascara application was just getting bad. Like it was very clumpy and very like not looking good when I put it on. And then I was told by one of my girlfriends, you need to buy a new set of mascara. I was like, oh, I didn't even know that stuff goes bad.
Yeah, I from like, probably like sixth grade through, I don't know, honestly, like third grade through high school, like just like all the way until college, I just reused like the same like giant bag of makeup. It's like I would
Wow.
buy a piece of like blush in 2009 and I would be using it in 2016. And I was
Right.
like, yeah, this is completely fine. And because my brain is utilitarian, I'm thinking like, use it up. And like,
Yeah,
oh,
totally.
I need, mascara for like this dance concert. Well, good thing I bought mascara a year ago. Not realizing like, no, that actually expired like 6 months ago.
Right. And do they put the expiry date on those things? I'm not sure. Maybe some of them.
They're like all the way, that's another thing about it. It's all the way like in tiny lettering at the bottom.
It's such a classic sight that you just like you visualized into my head like the bag of makeup. Right. I feel like every girl's got their bag of makeup. Like
Uh-huh.
it's either in like a zipped pouch or like a really big gallon sized Ziploc bag.
Yeah.
It's either in one of those two things.
Or there's the
And
people who have it in like those giant sewing kits.
yeah, in the sewing kit. Like and then there's just like my sister wants to do her makeup, so she brings out the huge bag and I'm like, this is overwhelming. This is a lot of stuff. There's so many brushes, there's so many colors, there's so many tubes and weird things I don't understand. I still don't know a lot about makeup,
Hmm.
but I've learned a little
Yeah.
bit.
It is funny. You mentioned like the big bag. Because I used to have like the bag I'm referencing in my stories was a big bag. And since then, I've been about like downgrading the bag. But even when like I've downgraded the bag, it's still like, okay, like, yes, I have like my three essentials, but like, what if I need the option for eyeliner? What if I need the option for lipstick? In which case, I should also have three different lipsticks in my bag. And it's like it gets smaller only to get bigger again. And
Right. And I guess there's tools in makeup that you use more often. Like I guess a lipstick can, I mean, anything can like pair with your outfit or anything like that. But
yeah,
have you ever bought something that's like an expensive piece of makeup and then like used it once or twice and then just never found the time to use it again?
you know, probably multiple times, especially with lipstick. Because I really don't like the feeling of lipstick on my lips, but there's a couple that like I found it in Sephora and I'm like, this just like it matches me too much to not buy it. Because it's really hard for me to find lipstick that matches. So then if I find one, I buy it and then I use it twice.
Fair, fair. I haven't used lipstick before
Mhm.
and I mean not seriously. I also don't really love the way it feels. I don't even like the way chapstick feels on my lips.
Mm. I'm fine with the way chapstick feels, but like because it blends in. But like it's interesting. I have a very specific memory of in downtown Disney, there used to be like this like little girl beauty salon where you could like pay money for them to like give you a makeover. And they
Yeah.
like I was 7 years old and they just gave me way too much damn makeup. Like they just like put on thick lip gloss and thick eyeshadow and they like put a ton of gel in my hair and like pulled my hair back till it hurt and put
That's some
like
like beauty pageant level stuff.
it was literally was. And I was grateful to my parents, you know. I was like, this makeover was really fun. But like as soon as we got in the car, I was like, take this off of me. I'm uncomfortable.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, the boy version of that when you go to the amusement park is like the airbrush tattoo and the tiger makeup
Oh
where
my
you look like a
God.
tiger.
That's that's another thing about makeup that I totally brushed over, the idea of face paint. And because
Yeah, totally.
face paint has been in many different cultures for, thousands of years. Ritual face painting, fun face painting.
Yeah, all sorts of things. My favorite was always being a tiger at the park. I never did any ritual painting personally.
I mean, I feel like, our version, our culture, I feel like, I don't know, 21st century America, I can't think of any ritual face painting we do other than our
Maybe that
ritual
is
putting
that
on
is.
makeup. True.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah, offhand any like ritualistic face paints that are in like my culture.
hmm
Um, I don't think it quite exists because we're very what's the word? Very secular.
hmm
And I think secular looks are more what we would consider like the modern look of like without question.
Yeah. All right. So this brings us to our final segment of the episode, which is Convince Chad. So get this. You're at a beatboxing competition, all right? You're about to go on stage, and some guy who's waiting in the wings while you're about to go on to perform sees you and sees that, you've enhanced your features. You've got eyeliner, you've got a bit of mascara on, and he's like, yo, are you wearing makeup? That's not very manly of you, bro. And what are you going to say to him? How are you going to convince Chad right before you go on the stage and drop mad bars? How are you going to drop the bars of truth to Chad that plenty of guys wear makeup and it doesn't necessarily make you feminine?
I actually have a funny story about like a beatbox event with makeup too, which I can share. Is it too late in the
Yeah, share,
episode?
share, of course.
Okay, so we were at the Grand Beatbox Battle 2021, which is like the biggest beatbox event that has ever happened in the world.
Hmm.
Um, and it took place in Poland.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Wait, I
yeah,
don't think I knew about this.
yeah. I went in October 2021, kind of
Uh-huh.
around the time I started wearing makeup. Yeah, it was actually with my new lash curler and my mascara and my glitter. I went to the event and I didn't really like wear the makeup too much at the event. I think maybe one of the days I wore it. But there was someone at the event, a woman who was painting her nails, and I just said, "Hey, can I have some of that?" She had black nail polish, and so I put black nail polish. This is the first time I like seriously wore nail polish, and I put it on my right hand, or maybe my left hand. I put it on one of my hands, and the guy next to me was like, "I want that too." So we both put nail polish on our hands, one hand each, and we looked at each other and we put our hands up and we said, "Nail gang." Right, so we made it cool, and maybe this was actually the story of convincing the Chad. Right, we convinced all the Chads. So we made Nail Gang, right?
Uh-huh.
And
At first,
then
when you like held up your hand, I thought you were gonna say nailed it.
nailed it. Yeah, that's a good phrase too. Maybe next time when I put nail polish on, I'll say I nailed it, not for Instagram. No, but we started this like nail gang, right? And then all of a sudden, like all these guys were asking us like, what's with the painted nails? And we wouldn't really give them much of an answer. We would just look at them and flash our nails and say, nail gang. Right? And then all of a sudden they like wanted to be a part of Nail Gang. So they were like, who gave that to you?
Oh my gosh.
And then so we pointed them in the direction of our friend who like helped put our nail polish on. And then all of a sudden, so many of the beatboxers, the competitors of the actual competition, you can go and watch the videos from the competition. A decent number of them have one hand painted black on their nails.
Oh my
And it
God.
started this like little mini trend within the community that went to the event, and there were so many people in Nail Gang, and I had people I'd never met before that had black nail polish on coming up to me going, Nail Gang. It was such a funny experience. And then all sorts of colors were coming out too. I remember there was like blue and silver as well, nails that were coming up. And even I have so many videos of famous beatboxers putting on nail polish. And we
Because
even
you started the trend.
because we actually started the trend at this one event, Nail Gang. And then in the comments of the videos that are on YouTube, some of the comments were like, why are they all wearing black nail polish?
Oh
Right. And
my
so and
God.
so we were kind of like raising awareness for this, like it's cool to wear makeup. Like we all just wanted to like be a part of something. So it actually wasn't for like um an exaggerated look, and it wasn't to like exemplify some awesome features. It was actually like a community building exercise where all these people for the first time put nail polish on at least one of their hands. And I had someone come up to me, a German beatboxer, who I'd known previously, and they asked me, what's with the nail polish, and I explained Nail Gang. I say we're all doing it; it's all for fun. And then he says like, I'm nervous to wear makeup because I don't want to be seen as gay. And what I told him
Mhm.
was, it's not gay to wear makeup, right? And later in the night, what did I find? Him wearing makeup,
Oh,
the nail polish on
yay.
his fingers. So I think that was a better explanation of convince the Chad. It was not a hypothetical. It was like a genuine thing that really happened.
Yeah, you won this podcast.
I
You
really
not
convinced the
just
Chad.
you convinced a whole room of international Chads before I
Yeah.
even told you to convince Chads.
No, because it felt like part of the mission. Because I had just started wearing makeup at the time, with like mascara and highlighter, which is like undoubtedly a more bold look than one hand of black makeup, black nail polish. I think black nail polish is like the least adventurous nail polish or makeup at all that you could wear, especially as a
Mhm.
man. And yeah, we managed to convince a lot of people to wear it themselves and like go attend the competition, that they had like thousands of eyeballs on them, watching them, and that you could see them with their black nails.
That's so fun. I love that so much.
Yeah, we started an Instagram page too, which we have since abandoned. Which I wanted to turn it into a meme page. I'm gonna see if I can find it because I'm not logged into it anymore. Let me see. I can show
The
you on the.
nail gang community.
See, it says Nail Gang. And there's the picture of
Oh my God.
The profile picture. Oh my God, you can't see it. The profile picture is a bunch of beatbox hands that are painted, and you can see like the first few posts. There's nails getting painted black. There's me with my black nail polish and and I'm wearing eye mascara in that too. And there's silver.
Oh my
See, it
God.
was a real thing. We actually did this, and this was posted October 27th, 2021. So
That's so
you can
funny.
find that if you want to see some old weird posts. And then we started posting like nail related memes and just random stuff, but it only lasted a few weeks.
A few weeks on Instagram, but years in your heart.
No, truly, I think that all the people that went to that event will not forget Nail Gang, and I wanted to bring it back to future events, but I don't think it really like kept catching on. I'll see if we can bring it to the next Grand Beatbox Battle. Nail Gang, that would be hilarious. I mean, I would definitely do it again. Since then, I've worn nail polish a few times. I'm not like a regular nail polish wearer. I don't think black nails are the best for me,
Mhm.
but that's what I had, and I didn't always wear them. I
Fair
like dark
enough.
blue. Dark blue is cool.
Dark blue is a good color.
Yeah, dark blue is cool. But yeah, that really happened. That was like a very fun moment and like a good like week where the beatboxers all had black nails and it like caught on, like people online. The audience was like, they were perceptive to it. The competitors and like the fans who were there live were also like trying to get their nails painted to be a part of Nail Gang.
Maybe that's like the thing you do at like next Long Island Beatbox. Like you know how like at some events they'll have like glow in the dark like sticks and jewelry and so suddenly
Yeah.
everyone like buys the glow in the dark sticks to be like in on it. Like maybe like you wear nail polish and there's like a nail polish painting stand and
I would
then
definitely do that.
suddenly it's a thing.
I would do that for sure. I would do that. Yeah, I think that was like also in the slew of ideas that we could do. Because how easy would it be to just buy, one or two colors and simply paint everyone's nails that didn't come with nail polish on? Then everyone at the event leaves. And you know how you get the wristbands for going to events and stuff like those papery
Yeah.
wristbands? You leave and you have like nail polish on for like a week to help you
Yeah,
remember
they're
it.
thinking about it all week.
Yeah, it was fun. It was like community building and bonding. So I guess to defeat the Chad, it's like if you can't beat them, you got to join them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Jack, this was a really fun episode. It was really great talking to you.
Yeah, to you too. It was really fun to be on the podcast. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes, thank you. And, until next time, viewers, have a good week.
See ya.